We talked to double world champion David Ronnefalk at his home track and find out how he feels about racing touring car.
Yes, I need some more experience in touring car, but I feel like I definitely have what it takes to be able to get to the top.
And the difficulties of competing in multiple racing categories.
I haven't driven my 8 scale since the World Championship, and that was in September. And then for me to, do this race in France in touring car and EOS, and then go to Montpellier and expect to be competitive, it's just not going to happen.
Has he ever seen team orders at the track?
I mean, I know there's been people talking about team orders or orders from above, let's say, that we need to do certain things on track.
We discuss his racing career for different car brands.
Maybe I came too early to Mayako, and maybe the first year was too good.
And his experiences without a tire contract.
It changed a lot the second time I became a free agent, let's say, because...
All this and a tour of his home track as we talk to David Ronnefalk. This podcast was recorded just before David left to race at the TITC in Thailand.
I'm kind of working here on the...
Oh, that's cool.
And here outside is the tracks. I have
very nice.
Some 24 cars hanging on the walls. The on-road track is on this side. So, yeah, I'm just sitting here preparing the stuff for TITC.
Nice.
So this facility is stunning. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah. Why haven't we been there yet?
Yeah. So here we have like this room is basically heated because out where the tracks are, it's not heated. It's a little bit messy in here now because I'm planning to set up a studio like over there by the black wall to have
nice.
a studio which is always there, so it's easy for me to, when I have time, to make some video, whatever I need to do, and pictures and stuff. So I'm working on that. That will be probably done after TITC. Here's my table and my friend's table across of me. I got a dart board when I'm bored. And yeah, this is the track area. So here we have some more pitting.
Oh, wow.
And then, on-road track, it's here. And then we have one driver stand, obviously, in between both tracks. And then off-road track is on this side.
Wow. That is cool. That's really, really cool.
Pretty big.
So what races have you had there so far?
Just really just like Swedish races. So like we have an indoor series going on here in south of Sweden on the on-road track. So I've had that for the past 2 or 3 years, I think. And then I had the Swedish Nationals, like that was end of COVID, I think, like 22 probably. I think Reinhard and Olowski was here at that race as well. And yeah, that was probably the biggest event I've had with like 80 something entries. The thing is that I can do so much more here, but at the same time I'm racing, so it's like, it's not that I have a lot of spare time or free time when I'm not racing, and the little bit of time I have, I don't really want to put another 2-3 weekends into my calendar every year just because I need to host a race. So it's great for practice. Obviously, I would love to do to host some bigger events, and I kind of have that in my head that I want to do for like next year or maybe in 2 years. But at the same time, the calendar is very busy, and as it's basically me, my father, and my family, like my mom and girlfriend, taking care of the cafeteria. So it's like it's very much like a family thing. We're not a club or anything that we have people to help out. Obviously, we do have some people that races here that can help out, but it's still going to be a lot of work just on me and my father, basically.
It seems like a big investment. I mean, that can't be cheap, that whole space.
Well, we've been super lucky because this is like on the second floor in the industrial building, old building that they use for industrial stuff, like maybe in the, probably, I don't know when it started, but I think it closed like in the 90s. some time. And then after that, they've had in where the off-road track is, they had laser tag for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
So like basically, like where the driver stand is, there was a big wall, kind of. So there was two big spaces, and we took that wall down, and obviously had the driver stand put there in between, so that we could have a track on each side. Everything was very dark in here, obviously with laser tag. Everything is blacked out, so like walls and everything was black. We had to paint everything. So there's been so much work going down to get these tracks to the status they are at today. Obviously great, but yeah, I mean, I've been just super lucky because of this space not being used for anything basically in the last 20 or so years. There has always been some kind of activity here with the laser tag, and then we had a small mini C track here early 2000s. So there's been a little bit of RC in this hall, and then the laser tag things, like I think the chargers for the vests and stuff broke down like 2010, 12, whatever, and the lady who ran that didn't want to invest in new chargers and stuff for the vests, and I guess that was not really a big thing anymore. It was more about, the kids wanted to buy the computers back then, so I guess she never just made the investment. And I think it was like 2016 or something like this, I was able to kind of get her to just move out, and I was able to start, doing some renovation in here and putting bigger tracks. And then as I started my company 18 or 19, then I'm now like I'm renting this facility from, it's not a private owner, so that helps because the price is a lot less when it's owned by the city. So yeah, my company is renting this hall now since 2019, I believe. And like 2020 was probably when we had both tracks ready. Before that, it was just one track on one side. So yeah, during early 2020, I think everything was pretty much done in terms of the tracks, and we've had other stuff to do around, let's say, after that, and it kind of made us a little bit exhausted. So like for the last 2 years, we haven't really done the last little bits that we want to finish, but I guess time will come for that to be ready as well at one point.
Well, we're looking forward to the invite to come
Yeah.
and visit.
What city is this in?
It's a very small city, so it's the closest bigger where I live is Karlskrona. It's all the way down in the southeast corner, basically like 2 hours from Malmö. So you would be in Malmö is like just 2 hours east, pretty much, to the southeast corner. So from home, I have like 25 minutes to go here, which is not that bad, obviously. And I have everything here during the winters. As we can't be outdoors, this is the place to be in the winter. So I'm basically here from Monday to Friday, either wrenching or practicing or doing stuff.
Nice. And you had Alexander, and I think do you have JQ as well visit recently?
Yeah, before that race in France, we did a touring car. I had a bunch of guys here actually. Hagberg was here. We had Adam Izai from Hungary as well on X-Ray. He was here. JQ and Pekko came for a couple of days as well, as JQ was on his way down to south of Europe with the van. So yeah, we had plenty of guys here driving for that week, and we found some good stuff. Obviously, each track and race has its different condition, I would say. So you just need to gain all the experience and data from each and every track that you can hopefully use sometime in the future when you come to a race where the condition is similar.
How much does that help you when someone like, I mean, Adam Izay, he's absolutely due a massive win at some point, and then you have Pekko who's not too bad himself, and how much does that help you for those guys to come to your track? And Alex, of course, multiple champion himself.
It's super good.
To help set a new benchmark for you to chase down.
No, for sure. I mean, I can be here, like I said, I'm here so much during the winter, practicing, testing, and all I can do is like, I really feel that it's going well, but then it's only once you have some kind of competition that you know if it's actually going well or if it's just you feeling all right out there. So it's obviously good when you can have a couple of quite fast guys coming here. I mean, at least a couple of times during the winter to kind of judge where you're at. I've been fortunate to have before that. I had in the first couple of years where we had on-road track. Victor was also here quite a few times, practicing a little bit, and I guess maybe he will be here a bit more. And now when they have a car again, so yeah, looking forward to have him also come a few more times, maybe next winter, then to practice together. It's always good, like I said. But yeah, it's super lucky with this place. Like I said, it's on the second floor. It can't be used for anything else, really. There's no elevator. You have to go through stairs to get into here. So people usually moan about that when they come here with RC stuff, but then when they actually get inside of here, it's all forgotten, I guess. So, but yeah, it makes it up for the rent and everything to be very cheap. And I mean, this is like 2,500 square meter, the place, and with electricity, if I make like some kind of an average, it's around like 800-900 a month. So it's just super cheap. Like this place anywhere else, just like in my city, for example, 20 minutes away would be probably 3,000-4,000 a month, you know, with this size. So yeah, just super lucky, and hopefully I can be here for as long as I want to. So
On the touring car track, do you have the lap record?
yeah, I mean, I did a lot of running there before the race in France, and it was going really well. Alex was here for 4 days, and Pekka on them as well. The last 2 days, I would say they came fairly close, but yeah, I still had the lap record around this layout at least.
So yeah, I mean, we'll get into you and touring car in a bit, because it's super exciting that you're going to TITC, and I guess you would have been at ETS, but you started the year in France, I guess, with a really good result in touring car.
Yeah, I mean, I finished in the end. I finished where was I? Fifth or sixth? I can't remember now because there was a big carnage with in the finals with Volker kind of in A1 and A2. He had on the first lap there some traction roll, and he kind of took me out. And then there was some big mess also with Olowski and Reinhardt getting together there on the last lap of A1. So yeah, either fifth or sixth. All I know that it was that me, Ronald, and Dankel was tied on points for fourth, fifth, and sixth. So, but I didn't care too much about the actual result at that race. I would say, you know, the last time I raced touring car was that race last year. So it's been a year since I was at the race, and obviously I had a good amount of track time here at my track, which obviously helps a lot coming into an event like that, even though that the condition and the grip levels were just completely different from what I have at home. We were gluing sidewalls on the front tires down there and stuff like that, and at home I don't have to do that at all. So it is just a completely different kind of grip, which is also what I need to experience if I'm gonna be able to kind of take a step onto that top three or on the podium in the touring car class, which I really do believe that I can, and also with experience and help from Alex and Adam and Martin Hoody, you know, I think it should be pretty good. Just need a bit more experience in terms of different grip levels and kind of know how to adapt the driving to that to these conditions at the races. But yeah, I mean, speed was good. I think three or four qualifiers out of five, I was within 2 seconds from TQ. The last main, I got fourth, 2 seconds off of Reinhardt, who won. and that being he was on TQ, I believe. So on the first lap, I gave up 1.8 seconds from starting fifth. So being 2.5 seconds off in 5 minutes it's really a good start, let's say, considering I haven't done many races at all in the highest level of touring car. So yeah, super pleased about the speed I had there. It just comes down to gaining a little bit more experience, doing a few more races, and yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna be able to reach the podium and fight for the top spots.
I think as a world and European champion, we'll always think of you as an off-road guy. But I think you were doing touring car before you moved to X-Ray, right? But has the move to X-Ray made you focus on road more because of obviously it's important to them?
So what I think is obviously, like you said, I did a bit of touring car also, like in the past. I've always had some kind of love for touring car. Let's say I've always followed all the races. I'm an RC freak in general, so I follow everything. Yesterday in the evening in the sofa, I was on the phone watching lap times and stuff from the races around the world in Montpellier and even the INS in the US, which was going on at the time. So my girlfriend was making fun of me, like, you're just completely stupid. You're at home and you're scrolling lap times from the other guys. So yeah, I mean, I've always had some kind of love for touring car. Back even in the Kyosho days, I was driving a little bit. I even make one or two, I think, ETSs with the Kyosho. That was with Crappy when he was on Kyosho as well back in the day. So very long time ago. But yeah, I've always done a little bit of touring car, and I've always thought it was a lot of fun, even though buggy was my main focus. I did a few ETS races as well with HB in Dawn, and then obviously when I drove for Mayako, I teamed up with Automatics as I had my track here as well. Doing a lot of practice and some races here in Sweden, and then I also made the ETS with Automatics. So yeah, I've always, it's always been there, but it's never been a focus at all, I would say. And obviously with X-Ray now, they have a good platform, they have a big team, and I'm pretty sure that the touring car platform is also the biggest seller for them. So it's kind of important for them to show themselves around the world at the races in this class to keep that customer base that they've created over the years. And yeah, obviously now with Bruno also moving away, it's important for them to kind of have me and Alex, for example, in modified kind of work together, as it's really a team effort, I would say. Getting these wins today, and Alex can't really be on his own, and I also need him a lot, obviously, as I'm pretty new still to this class, even though I do practice a whole lot at home. So yeah, we'll see how the year goes and how maybe the TITC goes, and then I'll also do the ETS in Vienna after TITC, and then after that, I guess we're gonna see how these first couple of races have gone for me. If we see that there is some potential, and after that we will decide for what the schedule will be like for the next few months here over the summer.
I was watching Montpellier as well on the timing last night, and I didn't expect Canas to win after his semi-final issues. Yeah. I kind of wanted Burak to get the win but anyway. But did you want to be there? I know you said it's too early in the year for you to go. Like, did you feel left out? Do you miss that race?
I mean, when you're at home watching races, you always feel like you want to be there. At the same time, I know that you can't do them all. We could race every week if we want to. But yeah, I think we're gonna hit a wall pretty fast if we are doing that. So it's important to kind of have a weekend off where you just take a rest and even then just have time to prepare your stuff for the next race. and especially like with me, doing the race in France and then EOS in 10 scale buggy, obviously, and then going to do Montpellier in 8 scale buggy, and then back to TITC touring car. It's like it's too many races in a row in too many different classes, let's say, to be able to kind of make everything good. So my idea is that I do feel like I can race pretty much all of the classes. Yes, I need some more experience in touring car, but I feel like I definitely have what it takes to be able to get to the top in this class as well. But yeah, jumping between classes too much, it will only hurt you in the end of the day. And I think maybe then you can you can race for a top 5 finish, but is that really what you want? Probably not. So then maybe it's better to, let's say, start of the year, focus might be a little bit more on touring car, and then during the summer, whatever, focus a bit more on 8 scale, something like that. But there needs to be a good plan if you want to do more classes, as you have these kind of specialists in each category today. It's not easy doing everything and then expecting to keep up with these guys who runs that class all the time. Like, for example, Ongaro and Canas, who is in south of Europe, and they drive 8 scale through the whole winter. Last time I drove my 8 scale was the final at the World Championship.
That's crazy. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I haven't driven my 8 scale since the World Championship, and that was in September. And then for me to, do this race in France in touring car and EOS, and then go to Montpellier and expect to be competitive, it's just not going to happen, because I don't have that those practice days before that event that I very much need after such a long break. I think I wrote that to you, Matt, that I would probably need to spend at least 2 weeks in south of Europe in January or something to be ready for, or feel like I have everything under control going into Montpellier. And that is just not possible when you're going to this, the GP3F, or you're doing the ETS or EOS and everything. So if 8 scale was my sole focus, yeah, then of course I would do it. But then now it's not. So you have to kind of pick and choose where to go.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you haven't raced Nitro Buggy since September, and your next big race will be IBC, which I think is May. So September to May, is that because it's not a Worlds year, or is that normal for you because of where you live, that you have such a big break? Or is it new because you're focusing on the other classes?
Actually, I do remember now. I did race in Worlds. I was in China for the SIGP in December.
Yeah, of course.
I even forgot about that race. Yeah, so I actually did one race there. But yeah, it's pretty normal that there's a break after let's say September, October for me. Usually like the Buggyland race, or if there's a Worlds or something like this in September, that is usually kind of the end of my outdoor nitro season, let's say, because the tracks here in Sweden, the weather is getting a little bit worse, and you can't go to the tracks here. So then I move indoors. I usually take a week or so to get everything ready here at my tracks, maybe rebuild the layouts and stuff like that. And then it's all about getting into the 10 scale program again, with the Florida Carpet Championship race and some other events that we normally have, like in October, November, December, let's say. So it's pretty normal for me to get a break, but to get a break until like IBC, which is early May, is not usually the case. As I like this past year, for example, in 24, I did a DNC, which I've done the last probably 10 years, whatever. And the thing there is, it's good for me because I usually go out there a week early, and I get my track time that I haven't got in the last few months leading up to that event in that 1 week. So it's kind of an intense trip, let's say, with a week of practice, then heading into a week of a DNC, which is usually pretty difficult race weekend with changing weather conditions and track conditions. But yeah, that week of practice before DNC usually gives me enough track time and confidence that I need to know that I will have a shot going into the DNC. But then obviously this year, going to TITC with touring car, which is like the week before DNC, I told them, like, it's we had the discussion, of course, and I said doing the TITC on asphalt touring car and then going with 4 different classes like truggy, e-truggy, nitro buggy, e-buggy the next week at the US. It's going to be so difficult. So maybe this year, of course, now they have a great US team as well, with Dakota and Brennan Chimmel and Tater. So hopefully I won't be needed to be able to make a good result at the DNC this year, even though it would be kind of hard for me to sit back and watch from home once again. But at the same time, I do love driving any class, and I really enjoy the touring car class as well. So yeah, I will make sure to get a couple of days of practice before IBC, and hopefully I can do a good race there, which would be my first event of the year, I guess.
So do you think that this is like this sort of transition that you've got, like doing a lot more on-road and tent scale? Do you think that you might do something like spend a couple of weeks in the winter with the Baldo brothers down at Ravan or something like that, to build up your 8 scale, racing, over the winter or something like that, maybe next time or before IBC?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think, like you also said before, it's maybe a bit of a slower year for 8 scale as we don't have the Worlds. So there's obviously going to be a lot of focus for the Australia Worlds 10 scale. We also have the Euros, of course, on dirt. So it's good to have that Euros on dirt this year, going into Australia. So I'm sure we're going to do a lot of practice and testing for these 2-3 races. I'm going to the warm up in April, of course. So that is also next on the calendar, and it's a trip which I usually don't do. Going to Australia for 2 weeks in April. Usually I will spend 2 weeks in April to maybe prepare the 8 scale stuff or something like that. So yeah, it all, as you're racing all the classes, it all depends on when and where the worlds are, and which class that the worlds are taking place in that particular year. So this year we have the 10 scale worlds, we have the 8 scale e-buggy worlds as well, of course, but we'll be going to Barcelos enough, I think, this year with the IBC and the Nitro Euros as well to kind of learn, and we also have a lot of experience from this track that should do us good for that race in end of August, I believe it is, the Worlds in e-buggy. So yeah, then next year, like you said, if I would be going 8 scale, practicing a bit in south of Europe, maybe not. It all depends. There's also touring car Worlds in April, I believe, in China. So then obviously I'm sure that we're gonna spend a lot of time kind of preparing for that as well. So I'm sure that the 8 scale Worlds is probably end of the year, I guess, in Thornhill, 26. So hopefully, like after the touring car Worlds in China, there will be 100% focus on 8 scale from there on out, and hopefully we can do a good job at both of these events.
Like you say, it is a huge year for 10th buggy this year with the Worlds happening, and we kicked off the 10th buggy year at EOS. Now, I don't want to go all the way into the whole EOS situation with Orlowski. I only want to really ask you 2 things. The first thing is, have you and Michael spoken at all since the race?
So I think it was Tuesday last week, because I was expecting everyone to go home on Monday. On Tuesday, I sent him a message and I said, let me know when you have time. I think it's good if we can talk. And he never opened it, never got back to me. So, I mean, if usually I've never had that happen, to be honest. I mean, I've had some stuff happening on the track with other drivers in the past, but I hadn't had any issues talking to them after kind of the big emotions have settled a little bit. So yeah, I was surprised not to get any response from him, let's say. But I'm sure we're gonna see each other at the race in Thailand. So
yeah,
so we'll see.
The other question I wanted to ask is, can you tell us anywhere where we got it wrong? in terms of our coverage and what we talked about. I know you mentioned something I missed previously, so this is your reply to us of anything we got wrong when we covered the situation.
I mean, I think you covered most of it. I don't think there was much stuff that was wrong. I mean, it's for everyone to kind of get their own opinion about, let's say. I think, you know, the situation between me and Michael kind of got blown out of proportion maybe a little bit, but it was just everything probably that happened to him leading up to that A3 or A2, A3 in forward drive. It was not necessarily, you know, that incident alone that kind of created or started all this, you know, these big emotions from Michael's side. You know, two drive event, you didn't really bring anything up from that. So maybe that was kind of a thing that, you know, you could have shown to let people understand why Michael was feeling the way he did after A3, because obviously also him and Marcus had a pretty hard fight, let's say. And yeah, I mean, Marcus tapped him there going onto the straight. He waited. Michael was in the lead, but then like Michael makes his mistake. So it was pretty much what happened in A3. You know, I ran into Michael, but he was still in the lead, and then he jumps wide, and then Bartek comes on the inside, and they clash, and he drops. So it was pretty much the identical. I mean, same situation. It was just that everything just happened before. You know, his emotions were flowing high, let's say, and then it happened also in forward drive, and that's kind of why I think it got, you know, blown out of proportion a little bit between me and him. You know, I'm not proud of the thing in A3. It was optimistic, let's say, and I'm sorry, like I said, about that one. You know, I'm not here to take anyone out on purpose or anything, and I think that's just the most important to kind of mention. I wouldn't do that. I don't think I had the reputation of being one that does that in my past. But yeah, it happened. You know, like I said, I'm sorry, and we move on. Then I expected to have a chat with Michael about it afterwards, but yeah, unfortunately, he didn't get back. So, but in terms of you just covering everything, yeah, maybe just a little bit of history, the last few races for Michael, to kind of show why this all kind of went down. I mean, he had a last lap clash with Reinhardt as well in France in A1. So, you know, he was in the lead. He made a small mistake. There was a gap. Reinhardt went for it, and they touched, and eventually, yeah, Michael finished third, I think. Then obviously two drive event that happened with Michael and Marcus, and then an forward drive as well between us. So, and then obviously at the Worlds in touring car in last year. So, yeah, just I think just a string of races where things haven't really gone well as they did for a very long time for him, and this is why this reaction came out of the US, I think.
You know, all eyes are going to be on TITC, and I think what the internet really wants is a really nice selfie with you and Michael in Thailand. Just to post that, I think everyone will go wild, because it'd just be like, cool, we squash that beef and we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the message that he sent to you guys as well, and like he said, he wasn't really talking only about the incident with me alone. You know, he was kind of bringing up the whole situation of you know, rough racing on track, let's say, and so I think, you know, once we should see each other, of course, I will try to approach and just have a couple of words with him, and yeah, maybe we can make a picture like that. It would be pretty funny, I think.
Well, the good news is, unless you've been living under a rock, you will have seen the selfie. It did happen, thanks to Nicole at Red RC, and of course, David Ronnefalk and Michal Orlovsky for being the guys they are. And moving on, hooray, hooray for the selfie.
Do you agree with Michael, though, that the younger racers that are coming up are driving just basically different? I mean, I saw it as like the the younger racers in Formula One. You know, like it's kind of the same thing. They have a different sort of perspective, maybe coming in, you know, and moving up the ranks, and then now they're clashing with these, you know, world and European championship drivers. So, I mean, do you see it the same way with the younger drivers?
I think it's just not like, yeah, maybe it's got a little bit worse. But I think in general, this is what you see with you know, the younger drivers getting faster and faster, and maybe starting to kind of take those battles with the top guys. I think, you know, I've probably been there myself, even though I can't really remember many situations right now, but I'm sure there are situations where I haven't been the most liked, maybe. Actually, I do remember one time, 2009, it was actually my first Euro A, the last qualifier. I remember him, Reno and Yannick was racing for the TQ, and it came down to the last qualifier, and I had a really good run. That was right after my Euro B win, so it was my first Euro A. I was in that group with Reno, and I remember I was like, I caught him on track, and I kind of bumped him, and I remember the crowd and everyone just went completely nuts because he was like obviously fighting with it for the TQ, right? And yeah, I was just 13-year-old kid trying to go as fast as I could. So yeah, for sure, you know, I've been there. You've seen Verstappen been there. Other guys in that kind of age, I think they are going to be a little bit more aggressive than when you're a little bit older. I think what you see now also for Michael is that obviously he's not kind of involved in as much trouble, I guess, as many others, because he's usually very strong in qualifying, starts up front. So that gives him you know, a good break, let's say, compared to if he would be starting in third or fourth. He would see a lot more of that, I think. But also, like, Michael is also a little bit older now. I mean, he's not 16, 17, 18 himself anymore, even though he's still very, very young. I think he just matured himself a little bit as well. And I'm sure he was also in the past aggressive when he was in that age. So I think it's just the more that he has matured, and now he sees the youngest generation in a different way than he did when he was there himself. And I think that's the biggest difference. Yeah, maybe the racing has got a little bit more rough. I don't know, because I haven't kind of judged every situation. I think it's just a matter of him maturing a little bit, and yeah, racing younger guys now coming up.
Another racing incident, and we should have done some more research on this. So I'm just going to ask you. This is live. Well, it's not live. This is recorded research.
Yeah.
Fairing 1/10 buggy. There was a last corner attempt in a battle, and Franz Heinsbruck, the referee, changed the result. But that was involving Jorn. And was it you, or was it another racer?
It was me. It was
Okay,
me and
so
Jorn.
can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, it was nothing rough or anything at all. It was just that he sent it over these last little kind of whoops, whatever you want to call it, weird jumps that they had before the straightaway. And I think just jumping over it, he landed like on the inside of the curbing on the 180 going onto the straight, and the loop was right after that. So he basically passed me on the inside of the curb, having no wheels on track. And I don't know if it's done in the been done in the past, but for me that was the first time I heard they were going to check the video to make a kind of a call on that that situation. And yeah, he ended up having a penalty. I don't know if it was like a 2-second, 3-second penalty or something, but all I know is that they penalized him for passing me off track, let's say, and I ended up winning that leg in the end.
Got you. Do you think X-Ray gets a bad reputation? We talked before about young drivers, and we talked before about kind of team orders and that sort of thing. Do you think X-Ray gets a bad reputation because they're so huge and so dominant, and so I don't think any brand is visibly as determined? And you know, we know the Hoodie family are super passionate and they're all in, and the whole family. We don't see any other brand like that. So I guess people look at them from the outside and yeah, maybe they get a bit of a bad reputation, which is, in my eyes, unfair in terms of the approach on track sometimes.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I know there's been people talking about team orders or orders from above, let's say, that that we need to do certain things on track, which so far I've never experienced. Nobody ever told me to do anything, and I know that in A3, if we could just take it back a little bit once again to the EOS, of course I was out of contention, no chance of winning. I knew Bartek had a first, and of course I'm going to try and make something happen so that we as a team can benefit, and probably Bartek taking a win. But I didn't mean to take Michael out in that situation. It was a mistake by me. He also didn't nail the landing. He had a flat landing. I just nailed the landing, and I got so much better drive. And everything happened so quick, I didn't have time to hit the brakes, right? So it was a misjudgment by me. And of course, I was going to try to put pressure on him in order for him to make a mistake or open the door and something like that to happen, in order for Bartek to be able to win for X-Ray. So of course, this is what I was thinking. It's not what they tell me before the race, that you need to go out there and you need to take him out for Bartek to win or something like that. That I've never heard of anything like that. I know a lot of people have said some stuff like that, but yeah, I think they definitely do get an unfair, how do you say? I lost the word now, but yeah, perception in terms of that. I don't think they deserve it. I think that the X-Ray team is just a very big team. Like you said, we have many drivers, and to make some kind of a comparison, I would do the Reader race like that. The Reader race, every time we went to OZRC or races like that, Associated or Losi, they had the biggest teams in the invitational class. And for me, like I went to those races a couple of times with HB, and it was basically me alone. And at the time, of course, me and Ty when he was also there, and we were two guys racing, Associated with I don't exactly remember now if Cavalier and Mayfield and those guys were in AE still, but Mayfield going up against 5 other Associated in the same heat, I'm sure they won't close the door on him or take him out as he's fighting for the win. They also play like the kind of team game. You see a lot of times people just open up a little bit for the other guy to pass easily, and then there's me or Ty or someone else from a smaller team that comes, and they're gonna do everything to block that door. So it happens, in racing where a brand has many cars on track, I think, and in 10 scale, especially, X-Ray has a big amount of drivers, and maybe this has something to do with the reason why people kind of see it in that way. But I do think it's a big whatever the word you said, I don't remember now.
Perception.
Yeah. Seeing as you brought up EOS again, one last question from me on EOS. You and Michael are actually teammates for Coyote, and Oscar was there, Oscar Jensen. What did he say to you after the race?
I mean, it was like most people came to me and they said, it's racing, it happens. Yeah, it happened. It's bad, it's unfortunate, but it's like, if we go to the next race again, we try. It wasn't really a big deal, right after it happened, because I was pitting a few kind of rows down from the Schumacher team as well, so I wasn't there where kind of the everything happened, let's say. So yeah, I just I was packing up. I was talking to some people, and of course it was nothing I was proud of, but at the same time, it was a mistake. What can I do? It happened. What happened? So yeah, I mean, not much more to say about that, to be honest.
Yeah. You're racing now for a huge team with loads of stars. Well, when you were there previously, Ty was there and Bruno was there, and obviously they're both gone. But your previous two roles at HB and Mayako, you were kind of the one. Like, how does that feel different? Is it a good thing? Is it make you more determined? Obviously now we've got Fend on board as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I mean, even though I understand, like I was, the kind of lead driver for these other brands, I never kind of saw myself as that. I went to the races like anything, and I would help anyone. And the drivers that we had, we tried to work together the best we could. So, yeah, I understand I was a lead driver for these brands, and now with Bruno gone as well, I think in Europe, yeah, I will be kind of that guy again for X-Ray, but obviously with a lot bigger team behind, and I think what I've seen now in the last or my year and a half so far with X-Ray is how well the team works together. You get so good like support from other guys, especially with me now running different classes. I think that wouldn't be possible if I didn't have the help from the other team guys. So once I first joined, there was loads of information, and obviously it was a lot different from joining Mayako, for example, where it was a new platform. We had to spend a lot of time to fix little small issues here and there in order for the car to perform well on track. Whereas I join X-Ray, I get set up, so I get all the info, like, here, start with this, you're good to go. And I did, and we saw at the first race, one of the first races was the EOS in Hanmunden, and I TQ'd forward drive. I think I was third on the grid in two drive, ended up second and fourth. So, I just show up, put the setups on that they have been using for the recent years, let's say, or developed throughout the recent years, and everything worked really well from the start. So it's a lot different in that way, because these little things you have to fix for stuff to work well may not be there. Obviously, you're always going to have those when you develop new stuff, new platform, new bits. But as far as all the kind of cars they have, they are so complete and very well made, so that you can purely focus on just tuning the setup for your driving style, let's say.
Yeah, I think you've shocked me twice in your career. Once, I never expected you to leave HB, and I was also surprised when you joined X-Ray. In terms of the end of HB, can I ask you about that? And also, because I know how integral Adrian was to your formative years, and how big of a part he was of your racing life. And obviously the split happened with HB, and then sometime after with Adrian as well. Can you tell us much about that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let's say before the last 2 years with HB, I didn't think that I was going anywhere either. But yeah, some things happened, and everything wasn't going as well as it did. And it was also, when was this? So it was also during the first year or two in COVID. And yeah, there were delays and some stuff. We were also working on the 10 scale program, which didn't really take off, and more things in the background that probably I don't even know about. Went to the situation where Adrian left Neidhart, and then it was either for me. I mean, I could have stayed, but we've been working so long together. So then, I told them, he's a big part of what I've achieved so far in my career, and I decided to follow him. And it was not it was no problem for them. They probably understood me as well. And my years with HB and Neidhart were obviously super good. Was able to win the worlds and everything, and I've had support from Neidhart since very early on, when Adrian first took me under his wings in early 2009, I believe, at the race in Germany, Quackenbrück indoor Astro race. And since then, I've had super good support from this company, and I have so much to thank them for, in my career, and for all the success we've had. And it was not, what we thought would happen or go down, but it did happen, and I decided to step away and also, keep working with Adrian once he quit, let's say. So then I took on the challenge with Mayako, and I think, even though it was a short period of time, with the 2 years that I was there, it was 2 years where I learned a lot. I gained a lot of experience, and overall it was honestly 2 great years. I can't say anything else. Some people have said it was a mistake, blah blah blah, whatever. But I'm very happy of my time there, and obviously winning the Euros in the first year with a new platform was incredible. We spent so much time preparing for that event, and to have everything go so well as it did, and be able to win that race, that was that was something special for sure. Especially after it being quite some time since I won the last 8 scale European Championship in 2014. I had many close calls with HB, but I was never able to win the Nitro Euros with HB, unfortunately. But I'll take the Worlds instead, so it's okay. But yeah, to come back and win another Euros with Mayako in the first year was probably one of the most cool experience I've had in my RC career. And then obviously I won the RCGP. I won an e-buggy DNC in that first year as well. I won so many other races, and then finished.
You came close to winning the Worlds in Ravan.
I was just gonna say. So yeah, overall my time with Mayako was maybe not what we all wanted it to be, only 2 years, but it was 2 great years that I do take with me, and I'm very proud of. And we had some differences between us that in the end we decided it was better for us to part ways. And I wish them the best, of course, and in the future. But yeah, it didn't really work out on all kind of areas where I felt like it needed to work out, let's say. So then
JQ was at your track a few weeks ago, so I guess relationships okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I guess JQ is a special guy. We all know that. But yeah, I've always had a good relationship with him, and of course, when we parted ways, it was not what he wanted. It was not what I wanted when we first signed. But we've had no problems. After that, I wished him the best of luck, and he's been here. He was kind of checking how my car was going around on the touring car track, and came with some input that he wanted me to try, and such things. So I guess that's part of his invisible speed thing. But yeah, I mean, no problems with JQ, and I think we're all good. After all, I gave him a European Championship, so
absolutely, yeah, you did. That was I think he came out of that pretty well, and I saw he continued to kind of use your name and the what you achieved together even now to market, which is fair enough, I guess. He seems a bit more salty about Robert Battier leaving, but that's their situation.
We'll talk to Robert about that.
We'll
Yeah,
talk to Rob about that.
I
yeah.
guess so. Yeah, yeah.
But one thing I noticed when you had that battle in Ravan, the first Ravan, and you came so close, and it was heartbreaking. I saw JQ was the first person on the driver's stand to kind of, I guess, comfort you in a way. He was right there, and I kind of grew a bit more respect for him in that moment. Maybe it was just my interpretation on the outside, but it was like, that would have made his life. Like, you were already a world champion. You were already a world champion. Another one would have been lovely, but you already are a world champion. For him, that would have, case closed. He's done. So he had so much at stake, but he just seemed to want to comfort you, which seemed like a nice thing.
Yeah, I think it was, and I do remember it very well. And I think, yeah, the reason all that kind of happening on the last few minutes of the race was down to me not really being in contention for the whole week. You know, I was there, yes. I qualified in the top 10, I think, but I never felt like I had it, you know. I didn't feel like I had the speed. I didn't feel like the stuff was there to be able to win. And especially after the semifinal, where I barely make it into the main after a terrible start, getting taken out, but managed my way through the 30-minute semi and got back up to 6th, I think, and yeah, went on to start 11th in the main. So even going into the main, I was sure, like, you know, there was no way I was going to be able to fight for the top spot. You know, after the pace I had in the semi, I was like, you know, a top 5 would be incredible. But then leading up to the main, obviously me, Adrian, Joseph, and Nicola, because I was driving the hot race tires there, we had a chat, and I was like, you know, we need to make a gamble. You know, I don't know who it was, but it was I didn't come up with the idea of trying the clay compound tires, but maybe it was Nico, Adrian, I don't know. But the idea came about, and we started talking about it, and we were like, okay, so let's just, you know, get a set ready. They brought me the tires. I was like, you know, I don't even want to glue them because I don't have the experience of gluing the clay compound to make sure they stick for an hour. So actually, Mark Pavidis was there at that race, and I told Mark, like, you glue those tires, and I'll put them on and I'll try them. So I remember we had a 5-minute warm up for the main, which was good for me to kind of get a few more laps. And obviously we started with the clays, and I remember walking down to the pit before the start. A lot of people were checking, you know, each other's tires, and I guess some people understood and probably heard that I was that I had the clays on my car, and they were like, you know, that's kind of a bold move, and if it's gonna work, it's gonna work really well. And in the end, I think that the guys running the clay compound was probably me, and then the JC guys, the Mayfield and Dakota in that main. And yeah, on the warm up laps there, I just felt, you know, the kind of connection, grip, speed with the car that I didn't feel for the whole week. So I remember telling Adrian on the headset that, you know, I think we have something here. Let's you know, try to do the very best we can. But, you know, with this, I can fight. So I also knew that we're going to have a good pit strategy, probably saving 2 stops on Davide. And yeah, things were just kind of clicking there. I had a good start, made a few positions there on the opening laps, and then started like clicking you know, drivers off one by one, let's say. You know, I've obviously watched the main a few times afterwards, and yeah, I was like up in 3rd, 4th pretty quickly, let's say after 20 or so minutes. I remember I was like 10-15 seconds behind Davide at the time, and knowing then that I would have 2 stops in hand on him, that gap would be down to 0 in case I just kept it at that, you know, 10 to 15. So yes, I was aware halfway through that, the race was going to come to us if I just kept it cool and stayed on the wheels, which I did. And the race was very much there. And I think with 15 minutes to go, I did have like a 4 or 5 second lead, and on the same kind of pit strategy for the rest of the race. So I was really in the lead. And I remember I had 2 bad landings on that downhill double after each other, and that kind of brought Davide back in. And from then on, it was like 10 minutes, very close racing between us two, where I made the last pit stop before him, 2 laps before or something. And I remember going into the pit, we were like right next to each other, so he kept on going. I went into the pit, and then 2 laps later, he comes into the pit. So once I'm going up the straightaway, I know on the exit it's going to be very close. And there was also some lappers in front of me, but yeah, I didn't try anything too hard. Of course I wanted to get out in front of him, but it wasn't like I just sent it into that corner up the hill. I just went a little bit quicker. The car just kind of traction rolled on me over that speed bump.
And then we'll see where they come out when the final stops are done. There's a bit of traffic ahead. If you can reach the end now, it would make sense for Ongaro to pull the car in, the team to pull it in so he hasn't got to pass the traffic. Let's start looking clear. And that's what they're doing. So in comes Ongaro into the pit lane. Rolls down. He's the car at the back of this. There it goes, the one, and he's out. Right, so down he goes. They're right together. Oh! And that could be it. Ronnefalk could see Ongaro. He could see Ongaro coming out of the pits, and he just lobbed it, but full send, got it wrong. And with 5 minutes to go, suddenly what would have been neck and neck is now 4 or 5 seconds.
I lost 3, 4, 5 seconds and almost made it up. I remember I brought it back down to like 2, but then I had another small mistake there on the bottom left side of the track, and that gave him enough breathing room to go on and win his second title. But I think just everything just comes down to me not being kind of mentally prepared going into that main, to be prepared to be in contention the last 5 minutes of a world's main to fight for it. So yeah, I mean, it was obviously super frustrating knowing that I had it in my own hands with 15 to go. But yeah, maybe it would have been even too good to have the Euros and the Worlds in the same first year with a new brand. And I think maybe, yeah, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, Joseph was there. I remember it after the race was done. And that was nice. I remember a few words he said, that I did everything I could and blah, blah, blah. Then afterwards now I've also heard maybe that he told me that I threw it away on some podcast, whatever. So that's kind of typical Joseph, I guess. But yeah, in the end of the day, looking back to the time, maybe I came too early to Mayako, and maybe the first year was too good, basically results-wise, and that's why I'm not there anymore. But anyway, the 2 years I had wouldn't change anything. Great experience, great memories, and some very great wins as well together.
Are you still in touch with Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, he was in China at that race as well. So yeah, we had a couple of days where, because after the race I was traveling back down to the area where in Shenzhen where Coyote is located, and he was also going to see a couple of different suppliers for his products, and yeah, we had some time to talk and everything, and yeah, I mean, it was all good. I think obviously it's also not what either him or I wanted, but yeah, joining X-Ray, obviously they have the FX line of engines and things like that, and the offer on the table from Coyote was something that I couldn't say no to. So in the end of the day, I know that maybe my my years of racing is another 10 or so years, and you know, I need to make the most out of those 10 years. And if there was you know, this kind of proposal and project on the table for me, yeah, I just couldn't turn it down. It's too important for me to be able to kind of support my family and everything at home as well. So yeah, not what I wanted, not what he wanted, but it's what I felt was needed for my racing to move to X-ray, and obviously the full package with the FX and Hoodie line and everything. And yeah, you know, it was 15 or so years together, and so much to thank him for in all these years. And I'm sure we're gonna have you know, some more races that we'll be together at, and maybe now competitors. But I hope to be able to kind of remember those 15 years and look back to that as a great period of our lives.
Nice.
Now, you mentioned some new sponsors there, and we've covered a little bit of this in the RCTV news about when you announced you were leaving Fly Sky. And do you, when you announce these things on your Facebook page, and obviously, you know, you want to put out start on the best foot forward with your new supporters and sponsors, do you look at the comments and see what people are saying on your Facebook posts or social media posts?
I mean, I do. You definitely do look at them at some time, but you also know that. I mean, there's only a couple of guys that knows the situation. If it's not, I mean, it doesn't have to be the sponsor, but it can be like some other stuff that happens at the races or whatever that is talked about in the media. I mean, you know how it happened or what went down, so you can't put too much energy into people writing stuff like that. It would completely break you, I think. And usually I do write some stuff, read some stuff, sorry, and yeah, I just have a great smile on my face. I can't be too bothered.
There were some pretty incendiary, like just people just going like,
people can't believe that
yeah.
you would move sponsor for money. Like,
yeah,
hello, it's a business.
yeah,
it's a job.
yeah, I saw that, and then I think you also brought up the guys writing something about you know, now they have to change as well or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's yeah, it would be great if they do. That's the whole point of it. But you know, it's not like they have to change just because I changed something. But yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Well, you've given us loads of your time. Have you got just 10 more minutes? And then
Yeah,
we'll
no
let you
problem.
go? Is that all right?
No problem.
I
yeah.
wondered if we talked about you talked about the first Ravan Worlds and the importance of tyres and the tyre change being make or break for you. What's your kind of short summary of the latest Ravan tyre gate situation? How did that affect you, and what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think the thing was that this whole thing with the tire diameter was brought up very early on in the week, and it was like they didn't really care too much about it, or they didn't really tell us all how it was going to be measured or whatever. And then, you know, comes finals, and then they decide to start talking about this. And it was like, you know, we kind of brought this up very early on because everybody knew that the tire wear was going to be very high, and we just needed kind of a statement to know for the rest of the week. But I think what was done wrong is that they didn't really, you know, have a meeting with us or tell us what was going to be the situation with you know, pre-tech or post-tech or whatever, or how it was going to be measured before like even qualifying started. Because if we would have known before qualifying started, during the qualifiers we would have worked on it. But now it's like they brought it up with maybe one round of qualifying to go, and then heading into the mains, and it was just a big mess, like overall, because everybody was freaking out. You know, some people might know that they ran tires being too small, and then having to change to something bigger, maybe that would have affected the car, and now they don't have runs on the track to be able to change. the setup of the car, whatever was needed to be done. And I think that just kind of, I mean, that was the main reason for all the fuss about this, I would say. And then in the end, I didn't care too much about how it was going to be done or whatever. I just tried to focus, and once there was a decision, I had to take it from that point. But I tried not to be too much involved, let's say, in that whole thing, because everything was going very well for me, and I just tried to stay in my own zone and focus on the main day.
It seemed like it was Matrix were fighting for one thing and all the other brands were fighting for the other direction, and it seemed to work in Matrix's favor.
Yeah, I mean, I was not in the meeting, so I don't know. This is what the rumors say, and what I've heard as well. If it's true, no clue, and I'm not gonna be.
I'm just looking at your sponsors. You're not affiliated with a tire sponsor.
No, not as of right now.
Yeah. So, but you were with. It was like the whole J Concepts thing around RCGP, and was it since then you've been kind of free of tires?
Yeah. So since then I was kind of free, and then I had the
Isn't that
Matrix.
the best way? Is that the best way, just to be free of tires? I mean, it's more money, but less sacrifice.
I would say when I first started being free, let's say, it was. I mean, I was probably one of the first ones to be free, and then it was great. I had a good connection and relationship with everyone basically, and if I needed something, they would support me with free materials. So it worked out really well. That was like the last years of HB and the first years with Mayako as well. And then, so that was 2023. I signed a contract with Matrix, who were new into the scene at that time. And the contract was like a year with an option of extension. And just wanted to see how everything was going, obviously, before kind of signing anything longer. And I do think that there were a couple of races in the first year where the tires was not maybe the best, but you're gonna have that in the first year. I mean, the first year with Mayako, I think there were tracks where the car was not the greatest, let's say. But there was also many races where it worked really well, and I think also they signed Davide for that same year, so we were two guys, plus I think Matti as well, Polito. So we were a couple of guys driving the tires, and they really showed that the potential was very good. But then end of 23, I also signed with X-Ray, and as I would be driving more classes, there would be maybe less focus on 8 scale, and then it didn't really make sense for Matrix because with Mayako it was purely 8 scale, right? So I did all the 8 scale races, and now doing a lot less 8 scale races with X-Ray, we decided to not extend the contract, and X-Ray also preferred me to be free to choose whatever was working for these few races that I was making in 8 scale. And I do think that it changed a lot the second time I became a free agent, let's say, because some of the other drivers having contracts with the other brands, they now kind of maybe put in the contract, or they had some kind of agreement that if their tire would be working, the manufacturer wouldn't be able to kind of give tires away to me, for example. If they have an advantage, why would their sponsored drivers want the brand to give me tires, and they would lose their advantage? And then when their tires wouldn't be working, I would just move somewhere else to the tire that was working and ask for tires from them. So it became more difficult, I think, in the last year to get hold of tires at the races. Yeah, maybe if I ordered the tires before the event, it would be a different thing. But at the races, getting the support from different tire brands was a lot more difficult than in my first run as a free agent, I would believe. So
yeah, I heard in the was it the last Euros where people were driving through the night to get tires from shops and places because the on-site manufacturer wouldn't share the tires out or even sell the tires to people who wanted them.
Yeah, it happened.
Wow.
It happened. So I mean, so then this whole thing maybe then it's better to be working together with a company and kind of create this relationship and help develop and even just set up the car for that one brand. Like it's at the Euros last year, I did change tire brand from qualifying into the mains. And when you do something like that, you're picking something which you think will give you an advantage in terms of grip, but maybe this added grip will make the car more difficult to drive or whatever, And I think that if we just take the Euros last year as an example, changing tires for the main day, I think in the end, I would have needed at least one or two more times on track with that tire to be able to kind of change the setup in order for it to be an improvement from what I was using in qualifying. So in the end of the day, I finished third with this other tire. But I think if I kept the same as from qualifying, maybe less mistake would have been done in the main, and maybe the rest would have been same or even better. Who knows? So I think it's both good and bad being free and picking what works the best at that particular track. I think it might sometimes be really difficult to just take something which works really a lot better, let's say, and then putting it on the car and expecting the car to be drivable and fast from the get-go with that tire, as you've been working for 5 days with a different brand tire, So
I expect Mayako wanted you to, or would have liked you to have been a free agent as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was with them on the first year, and then on the second year, I didn't, I didn't stay free agent. Let's say I decided to go for the metric deal. So
yeah, cool. Do you have any questions? I have. Sorry.
Podcast?
Yeah, I have some bombshell questions to finish
on.
They're fast questions that need fast answers. You free to pass if you want to say pass. So
like, one word answers or just short answers?
Just short answers.
Yeah,
whatever comes into your head.
Like lightning round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So question number 1: €1 million to never touch an RC car again. Deal or no deal?
Deal.
Wow. Okay. Who is the greatest overall RC racer of all time?
I mean, this is a difficult one. I mean, I always looked up to Atsushi Hara back in the day. I think of recent time, it's pretty hard to go against Bruno.
Name one driver you've had beef with. Not all else, please. Someone else.
Yeah, a different one.
Oh, there's so many. I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard. Let's say Kilic.
Kilic. Okay.
Which one?
Both. No, but it was a couple of incidents with different drivers, but yeah.
If you could win one race this year, only win one race this year or one event, which one would it be?
I would say Tour Drive World Championship in
Australia. Good stuff. Who's the best overall RC racer today in RC?
Yeah, I think I just said it before. I think it's pretty hard to go against what Bruno is doing in all the different classes. He's definitely the one to beat in any class that he goes racing.
Were you sad to see him go, or not so much?
We had a good relationship during the year and a half that we were both on the team, and obviously when I joined, it was not kind of what I saw coming, let's say, but things happen, and he's now with a different team, and we're gonna show up to the track again, and I'm sure we're gonna talk like we did when we were teammates. We just have different shirts now, so I think we are all good between us two.
Awesome.
Are you going to miss Bruno in off-road?
I mean, one less competitor for that 2-drive or 4-drive title, right? So I'm okay with it. I understand his focus is going to be touring car and 8-scale buggy probably. So he will be busy with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's it from me. Anything else from you?
No, well, I did have a question. It's a question with kind of interesting it kind of follows on from what Mikhail was saying. I don't know, maybe I was reading between the lines too much with his message that he sent us last week. But when you're on the top, when you're expected to win a race, like we kind of see that with Mikhail now, do you find that you have a bigger target on your back with everybody gunning for you and wanting to put a sweet pass on you in qualifying or the races or anything like that?
I mean, I do feel like when you've had good success for a period of time, of course, that everybody comes to the race and they know that you will be probably one of the 2-3 guys to win, and therefore of course you're gonna be you're gonna have target on your back, let's say, and I think it's like that with any kind of racing. I mean, Verstappen had an incredible year and an incredible start to last season, and of course he's gonna have a target on his back. If someone sees an opportunity to make a pass, of course they're gonna try to do it, or like it was between him and Lewis in that 21 season. So yeah, I mean, I think what he has done the last 2 years or whatever has been really impressive, and obviously he is with his whole team and package one of the strongest guys out there today, and definitely one of the main guys to be that race. So yeah, I think of course he's gonna have a target on his back, at the every race he comes to. But yeah, we're all here trying to win. So that's what we're gonna try to do here in the next few races coming up.
Awesome.
Amazing.
That's what we like to see.
Well, thanks so much, David. It's been awesome catching up with you.
Yeah, cool.
We will see you in Wiener Neustadt at ETS then, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
nice.
Amazing. Good luck in
Yeah.
Thailand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Maybe
Thanks
I
so
need it.
much.
I don't know. All right. Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
Hey there, we can't believe it, but you've made it to the secret after show.
Yes! First, we want to honor our heroes.
And for everyone else, we don't want to say goodbye. We want you to join us.
Yeah, if you want us to be able to keep making this content and coverage, there's a few ways that you can help.
Yeah, first and most importantly, you can hit subscribe.
Then, if you really want to support us, you can become an RCTV Hero by joining the channel. Click join down below on YouTube, and the link for that is also in the description.
If you want to rep RCTV, then go to rcracingtv.com and buy some merch.
Finally, if you want to help us just keep the lights on, then you can buy us a coffee right here.
Right down there, or in person if we bump into you at the track.
Now, if you're still watching after all that, then it's time to pick your next clip. I would say the top one.
No, I think this one is way more their speed. I think this is the one that they'll like.
Okay. Well, either way, thanks and goodbye.